What's up, everybody? It's your boy. It's Mr. Motivation. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If it's your first time watching, I want to say thank you for checking out my video. My name is Devin Williams Jr., also known as Mr. Motivation. Just a little bit about me. I've been doing motivational speaking for 8 years, going into schools, churches, different organizations, and just spreading a message of purpose and life topics. My mission and goal is to help people change their life by showing them true love. I believe that if you woke up this morning that you have purpose. If you're watching this video, you came across it some kind of way, it was not by mistake, it was by design purpose. If you get anything out of these videos, any information, any inspiration, anything that really impact and change your life, please subscribe, let me join the family, become a motivator, and let's go very far in life. So today what I want to talk about, and I'm also a motivational speaker and life coach, but today what I want to talk about is my very first time I gave a motivational speech. I remember it very vividly. I don't remember exactly what I talked about, but I know exactly how I felt. So I was giving my first motivational speech in a church. It was actually my home church back in my hometown. And I got up to speak and I was 16 years old, and it was in front of peers pretty much. These people were probably a few years younger than me, if not right around my age. So I'm 16, they were about 13, 12, somewhere in that range of thing. In their age range. And I had all my notes written down in a composition notebook. Now I don't do that now. I have an iPad, I have an Apple Pencil. I'm a lot more advanced and kind of how I take notes and strategize. But at the time, that's all I had and that's what I worked with. So in that, and saying that is, it doesn't mean that you need all this technology. You need a laptop, you need a printer, you need a computer. Use what you have to get started. And what I did was, before that time came for me to speak, I rehearsed that thing every day. I come home from school or I have some free time. I'm in my quiet place, which was my downstairs area, and I'm just going over this speech again and again and again and again, because I want to be able to make sure that I'm getting it right. And I did that for a lot of my speeches when I started out, going over them again and again and again to make sure I got it right. But what I realized is like, man, I was speeding in my speeches because I had already been through it and ran through it. And when I would practice it, it would come out more of a natural flow. It would come out more customized or more personal because it was just me unleashing things. And then the more I did it seemed like the more I was just trying to tighten it, because you only have a certain amount of time. So as a speaker, there's different things you need to work on. You need to work on pacing, you need to work on timing, you need to work on transitions, you need to make sure that you're making clear processes and clear thoughts when you're giving a speech. But that's just some of the things that, some of the technical things that early on I didn't know and didn't realize until I really dived into speaking and really dived into understanding some of those things. So I'm up giving this speech in front of my peers, full of church people. I'm in a church, and it's Sunday, and I'm giving probably like 15 minutes, I would say, but it only took me like 8 because I was running through the speech. And that's one thing that I had to learn to improve on, is to slow down, take my time, say my points fully, and give some of that personal stuff so that it comes from the heart. Because what you don't want people to think and people to see is that what you're saying is not from the heart. It's not genuine. It's just something that you wrote, something that you scripted. And you can tell when somebody's reading something or when somebody's super prepared versus when somebody's like, this is really just pouring out of my heart. This is really what's coming. And the thing about it is, a lot of people watching this, probably, you have a story that is transferable. You have a story that if you went to this city and told the story, you went to this city and told the story, you went to this conference and told the story, it's the same story. But the thing about it is, it's gonna come across a little bit different each time. Now you're gonna hit some main points and say some main things, but it's gonna come across different each time because you just gonna feel that emotional vibe when you let it come out personally rather than making sure you hit da 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 da. So I gave the speech, and I honestly was home and I was really nervous because I was like, oh, this is my first time giving a speech. This is my first time standing up. But here's the thing, and this is the bigger thing that you need to understand, is practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. I was practicing at home. I was voice recording. I was sitting in my room just talking, giving speeches, nobody there. Like, practice makes perfect. So the more that I did it alone and the more I did it hearing myself back, the better that I felt. the better that I understood, the better that I was okay with standing in front of people. And when I first got in front of people and I saw all these eyeballs looking back at me, luckily I was in my church, because that helped, because there was a lot of familiar faces. But I would look at the back of the crowd. I would look at the back wall. I would look at the camera or the clock, because there wasn't no cameras back then. But look at the clock or something like that to kind of like focus and start to relive and start to put things together. And I would look at my paper. I was a very young speaker at this time, so I had my paper in front of me with points that I could know that I could hit. And then I look into the eyes of my peers and try to gauge how they were going with me and where they understanding things. What I realized from my first speech, and kind of a lot of my speeches from there, is that my message really resonated with the audience and the parents and the older people in the church, rather than the people that I was actually trying to talk to. It was like they were just taking it in. It was going over their head. So sometimes you have to realize, hey, my speech might not be for this particular audience, or it might be for this particular audience, but certain other audiences are getting something out of it. So you have to gauge the audience also. And I felt like I did a pretty good job, because I used a temple run analogy, I think it was, or something that was current at the time. Now I'm really dating myself, because temple run, man, nobody plays that anymore. But I used a temple run analogy, the original, not two. I used a temple run analogy to try to relate something back to the kids or the younger people that I was speaking to. But I feel like the adults got something more out of it. I wasn't very shaky. My legs do tend to shake sometimes. My hands will start to shake. Some things you just can't control. But overall, the speech went through very well. It was very thought out. It was very planned out. And it came through with that personalized, genuine kind of feel along with it at the end of the day. So for me, I feel like my first speech was a success, because it came out good. It came out good. I feel like people got something out of it. I felt like it was moving, and it opened the door for me being able to go into a whole bunch of other places to speak. Because then when people found out about that, they was like, yeah, I immediately, after I gave that speech, I immediately got booked for another one. And then it was a recurring thing. So annually, I'm getting asked to come here, asked to go there. It was just that thing that kind of sparked off in my community, in my small town. And granted, some things changed since then, but what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to practice. That was the biggest thing for me out of that first speech, is practice, 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 practice. Get in my home alone, get in front of a camera, get in front of a voice recorder, a voice memo, and just practice, practice, practice. If you need to write it out, write it out. I had a composition notebook. I wrote things out, wrote 3 points, 4 points, whatever, wrote it out and went over it again and again and again. Because what you want is, you want to be as comfortable as possible. Even though you want that personalized, genuine speech, you want to be as comfortable as possible when you get up to speak. And granted, you don't have an audience at your house unless you have 1,000 people in your house. But the more that you can say it, the more that you can hear it back, the more that you can critique it and make it the best that you want to be. It's your boy. It's Mr. Motivation. Mr. Motivation gonna get you changed today. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, give me a like, leave me a comment. Let me know what more you want to hear, what differences that you want to see, and I'm gonna try to make that happen for you. Also, follow me on Facebook. I go Facebook Live at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. I try to do it as much as I can. And on Periscope. Periscope is becoming my new home, my new family, my new friends, and I love to interact with people on Periscope. Ask your questions. We can get on the chat box and talk it out. So whatever you want, it's your boy. I love you. I support you. To speak is one thing. To change lives is something totally different. Let's go.